So the next slides will talk about application and resource migration, user authentication using Azure App Fabric Access Control, service integration using Azure App Fabric Service Bus, and APIs-based automated deployment process. So now let's start with application migration. Well, this slide actually intends to provide a brief insight into the process of application migration. Now, a web-based application which is hosted on one of Contoso's server could be migrated into Azure Web Role, and the applications with legacy codes are migrated into a virtual machine hosted inside Azure called Azure Virtual Machine Role. Well, since we know that Azure Web Server on the cloud already had the public address connectivity, therefore all the users having internet access could access these hosted applications. Therefore, rather than actually accessing the server or services hosted inside Contoso's premises, the users now actually could access over internet to these applications or to the servers. Well, let's have a look at a demonstration for more elaboration. Well, the first objective of the demonstration would be how can we migrate a simple web application into Azure. So for this reason, what I have done is I have created a sample ASP.NET web application, and which is nothing but just contains one page, and the page contains a welcome message saying that welcome username to my dummy site. Traditionally, this could be a on-premise hosted web application, and let's see how does it look like when I host it on my local machine. Yeah, as I said, a simple message saying welcome IMGroup/Rahules, which is myself, to my domain site. And as we can see, this is actually local hosted, that is running on my local machine. Now, turning this one off. Now, to make this web application an Azure deployable application, all we have to do is go into the solution file, right click, add a new project, and say the project to be sample Azure. Creating a blank project, and here we will add an existing web application onto our Azure web project, and here we go. So now our sample web application is capable of being deployed on Azure's web role, and the way to deploy it is simply right click and we do publish. So in this publish, we can actually start our deployment from the Visual Studio itself, or we can create a service package and do a manual deployment. Now let's see the second objective of actually how do we host a legacy application or legacy system into Windows Azure. Now for the case of this webinar, what we have done is we have created a virtual server and we have installed Sage onto the virtual server. The case would be if you have a specific application which needs some explicit COM or DLLs, and you have to install an executable. So this is a very good replica of those kind of a scenario. So our VHD looks like something cloud demo server VHD, and the requirement is we have to host this VHD into our Azure framework. And the way we do is simply we add a new virtual machine role, and here you can start my access, just showing me access details, and here we are. So here with this screen we can actually configure the VHD that we want to push as into our virtual machine role into Azure framework, and rebuilding it. Yeah, started and finish. Yeah, It's the preview done, and we can actually push or deploy our Azure projects into any of the environments which we are currently managing on Azure environment. So let's see actually how it looks like on Azure portal. Now for the purpose of the webinar, says actually rather than uploading more than 8 gig or 9 gig of data during the presentation, I have already uploaded the VHT into Azure as a VM role, and I have given the name as an accounting server because I think that's what it does. I mean, it has a Sage, probably used for accounting, and it's called accounting servers. And currently I'm running only a single instance of that particular servers. I may actually potentially run as many instances as I want with just minor configuration change on my application with saying instance count. So if I make instance counts to be 5 of these server instances would be running on my cloud. Just going back to our portal. So in this example we have single instance running, and let's see if I can connect to this particular instance. Open and connect. And you can see it's actually going into internet or Azure platform for actually getting the access into the servers. Since they are proper secured, so we have got X509 certificates for the encryption, and here we have. So it actually looks like the perfect my server which I was having as my VHD. Sage. Yeah. Okay, and yeah. So this particular remote box is actually running on my Azure virtual machine or Azure VM role. And so this activity helps us to migrate application very easily into Azure without worrying too much on refactoring or redesigning. So with this demo, we saw how an existing web app and a legacy application could be easily migrated into Azure.